Hi, my name is Heather Mackey. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today we are talking about darkness, depression, and suicide. My sister just called me. She had engaged with someone that had actually worked to commit suicide, and she said that she shared something with this sweet soul that um, I had learned in one of my many suicidal hours that helped me. And I myself have worked with people recently that have been wanting to exit. A friend that took Madre Ayahuasca even said that many people will exit. Many people will exit right now. So I wanted to just take a minute to talk about suicide because I know that there are beings that are struggling with depression right now, a bunch of people, and there are beings that are struggling with the idea of exiting being a way to garner greater peace. So the thing that my sister shared is something that I read a long time ago and made a huge difference to me. I mean, huge bright blessings to my sister because she's had to, as one of my most beloved friends and my sister, has had to deal with my chronic depression my entire life. I have had suicidal thoughts in my teens, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s. I'm in my 40s now. And finally, I think at a place where I don't need to go any more decades with suicidal thoughts. Who knows what's around the bend? But I feel like I've garnered what I need to garner from that place, from that space, from that way of thinking and being in the world where it's too much and you just want to exit. What I had read was in a book that one of the things that it did that I loved with this book is it didn't vilify suicide. As I am somebody who has known people and has lost people to suicide, it's never felt right whenever anyone's like, oh, they're burning in hell, or that doesn't, actually, I don't even, to each their own. Not that I'm right. I'm sure for you they are. But for me, that doesn't feel right. I don't, it's very difficult to do flesh costume. It's difficult to be at Earth School. I can absolutely understand very well and have been pinned there many times where I've wanted to exit. I've done it every freaking decade almost. So, no, I don't think that you're additionally punished because you chose to exit. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, would say, every death is a suicide. We all choose our exit. And that feels more aligned to me, that it's kind of the ego that wants to separate that out as a form of discouragement. But here's the discouragement I found in this text that she shared with a sweet soul, and bright blessings and prayers to the soul. It is the concept that if you commit suicide, you immediately incarnate in a body again, right back in as an infant. So if I had committed suicide any of the many times I've held the weight of that decision in this life, if I had done it, I would have immediately incarnated as an infant. Just like as soon as I get to the other side, boom, straight into another body, boom, I'm an infant, back in a physical body again, reincarnated with the same depression and situation, trying to deal with all that. So the thought of that was horrifying to me because I've wanted to die so many times. I've been depressed so much in this life. Like, it's like I can't imagine being born into a new body and having a different mindset. I guess I'm going to take this freaking mindset. And no, I don't want to start from zero. Like, even when I was suicidal in my 20s, I knew I didn't want to have to go from 0 to 20 again. In my 30s, definitely don't want to. Now I've made it 30 years, 40. Oh my God, I've made it half a life. I don't want to start back over from 0. I just want to keep doing my best, keep picking myself back up, dusting my knees off, standing back up, and walking forward, because exit is definitive. It is coming. And uh, uh, there are many who aren't afraid of death. Many are, and haven't processed it and haven't dealt with it. But for those of us that have spent a lot of time feeling suicidal, Death is not as frightening as all of that. And so the thought of exit sounds like release. But the thought of having to start over sounds like a nightmare. Like, I don't even know how I made it through my teens and my 20s. I don't know how I made it through that. I would not wish that on anybody. Those experiences. Truly. Truly. So, so the thing that has caused me, because it starts with darkness, and then that darkness serves a definitive function that is positive and important and potent. And then that darkness can lead to depression, and then depression can get elongated, and we can feel pinned and stuck there, and that can lead to suicidal ideation. So I just want to start at the end, actually, and say with suicidal ideation, if you're someone who's ever considered suicide, which I would assume most two-leggeds will consider it. So if you're one of those people, if you ever consider it again, just think about that. Think about having to start over from zero, since none of us actually fundamentally knows what happens when we exit, because everything is theory. Religion, spiritual philosophies, science, it's all freaking theories down here. It's all theories, y'all. So since none of us fundamentally knows, and none of us is able to prove actually what is happening, no one can prove if the sun is a spirit. We know it's a gaseous ball now, but we still haven't been able to prove that it isn't also a living spirit and entity. And we can't even prove that this isn't a dream. So since we're swimming around in a sea of theories, a lot of people feel right about, since we don't fundamentally know, we can hold that thought if we ever get to that point again of wanting to exit flesh costume, of just like, I don't want to start over, so let me just deal with the depression. Now the depression usually comes as a result of gestating in darkness. Darkness is not bad. So the ebb, darkness, shadow is not bad. Vital, actually, to really understand joy, light, laughter, gratitude. You know, it is the yin and the yang of it. A lot of people say yang. I've heard it's yang. So it is that component of all light has a little bit of dark. All dark has a little bit of light, and so we use kind of both to understand the allness of it. And seeds gestate in darkness. A seed will gestate in the darkness of soil and eventually become a fruit-bearing tree and will be life proliferating again and again and again. But life actually doesn't proliferate without initial gestation in darkness. A diamond does not become a diamond and the luminescence of a diamond without great pressure and darkness. A lotus blossom does not bloom without the mud, the darkness of the mud. So darkness is a gift. Shadow, like being in the ebb, is a gift. A lot of two-leggeds, even myself at times in my life, have thought, like, if I could just be in the flow and just be happy and abundant and healthy all the time for the rest of my life, that would just be the coup de grace. But actually, we are that before we take up flesh costume. Spirit energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Energy is eternal. The eternality of energy is fundamentally made of love, light, and energy, and that gets boring. So we create a flesh costume so we could feel like there's a threat, and there's plenty of threats to feel down here, and that helps us to understand our luminosity, our love, the grace of what it means to be energy. So in order to make peace with the physical world and the experiences it offers, it's important to note we need the darkness and the light. We need the moon and the suns. The sun represents clarity, illumination, everything's so obvious, optimism, Apollo, Helios, Ra, Aditi. It has had many names. We've praised it for a long time because it grows our food, it keeps us warm, it allows us to see what everything is. But the moon is equally as vital, where we can't quite see what everything is. What is that? Is that a crow or what is that over there and the moving in the bushes? We can't see as clearly. We don't know. We're in the ebb. We're not in the flow of sunlight and all the bounty and harvest. We're in this like night time, and it can create a lot of false evidence appearing real, fear-based thinking when we don't feel as clear and when we're just kind of gestating and waiting and receiving or sitting in a darkened experience so that we might understand the virtue of the light or understand gratitude on a deeper level or understand something deeper. So darkness is important. It is valuable. It's, just like Black Lives Matter, darkness matters. Life, this component of life, being in the ebb, being in the receptive principle and the feminine principle matters and is vital to true joy, because humans need catharsis. We don't actually want to just strum harps and like sing Kumbaya. We actually enjoy crying and getting mad and feeling the whole gamut of our feelings. And the thing to do with feelings they're wonderful and very quick and very precise indicator of what you're thinking about. If your feelings don't feel good, if you are depressed, it is because you've been thinking things that are a match to you feeling bad. So whatever your value system, which is unique for each individual, none of them right, all opinion sacks, whatever your value system is, if you have thoughts that are out of alignment with your value system, it's going to cause you to feel bad. And then you can eventually get into a depressive state. So that middle part between the darkness and the gestation of a seed, which is needed, in which we can learn to allow to be in the ebb, to be in the darkness, to be in the quiet, to be in the waiting, to be in the feminine principle, to be in the receptive, to slowly wait, receive, look, listen before we move forward, before we take action, before we're in the flow, before we get things going. We can allow the value of that. And if that darkness leads to a place of depression as we sit in our waiting, if we dwell on all the darkened hours, all the trauma we've been handed, for some of us it's been a bunch of trauma. And if we sit in the thoughts of that while we're just in this quiet waiting period, we can get really depressed. Two paths I've found to come out of that. One comes from my sister, who is a great teacher to me, Sagittarius Dharma that she is, great truth talker, and I love the truth. And that is to volunteer. If you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. And we all get that. And we understand that you're going to advocate that. And you also, while you're depressed, also don't want to be depressed. You're also aware that you don't want to be depressed anymore. So there have been points when my depression has gotten so dark that I know I'm having suicidal ideation and I know it's getting too much. And so I've taken action on this great wisdom she shared with me because something had to shift. Something had to give or I was going to exit. And volunteering absolutely shifts it. Every time I've ever volunteered, and I've been depressed a bunch of my life, so almost every time I volunteered, it's been aiding me to come out of a depression just by the nature of how I've walked in the world. But when you show yourself, Suzanne said, when you're depressed, you're in here, you're in your thoughts, you're in your life, you're in your experience, you're in your traumas, you're in you, and you're trapped in here. So you just got to get it out there. You just got to get yourself out of yourself. You got to get out of your own head, out of your own trauma, out of your own life experiences, and give. And then you'll see how valuable you are. You'll see what a difference you can make. You can see how precious your life is. So volunteering will absolutely shift it. And the second thing that will shift it is just getting honest with yourself about the content of your consciousness. Your attention has gone to a darkened place. Your attention is on something that doesn't feel good when you think about it. So what does feel good to think about? Does it feel good to think about rainbows? Does it feel good to lean against a tree? Does it feel good to watch a comedian? Does it feel good? What is anything else you can put your attention on that feels good? Comedy almost always feels good to me. I love to laugh. I'd much rather be laughing than being the sad woman I've been most of my life. So that's how we can shift depression. If you want to learn more tools, tips, and tricks about helping spirits and ways to shift the mental, physical, and emotional realm, go to rarebirdmedicine.com and click on the classes link. We'd love to have you October 14th. Blessed be.